This is Judy Fouché. My capstone was concerning flipped classrooms in the middle school science. The purpose of this capstone project was to design, implement, and evaluate the flipped classroom method in a middle school classroom. The flipped classroom method was explored as a means to increase inquiry-based lessons in a science classroom and improve retention of concepts. The flipped classroom incorporates elements of differentiated learning, technology, collaboration, critical thinking, and problem solving. Literature review. Learning philosophies that were explored were from primarily Vygotsky. Vygotsky's philosophy of constructivism is that knowledge is not mechanically acquired, but actively constructed within the constraints and offerings of the learning environment. There is an element of social environment in learning that leads toward a student-centered approach. Flipped classrooms create an active learning environment by the structure of the inquiry-based activities that are incorporated into each lesson. Higher level cognitive learning takes place when students can work in more personal, smaller group level. Piaget believed that children need to interact with their environment to develop and learn new cognitive structures. Bruner was influenced by constructivism and believed that children are active problem solvers and capable of exploring difficult concepts at any age. He believed that motivation is a key for learning. Incorporated in the slide is a video of my students working together in cooperative learning. They are creating a Mars rover that is solar powered, and they are trying to find ways to problem solve to make it work. I'll play a few minutes of this.
Should we scoot it over? Take it off a little bit? Oh, me too.
I'm moving from group to group, watching how different groups are working together in problem solving. As you can see, they're all very engaged. They're excited. They are not requiring the teacher to actually facilitate, although I do offer advice when asked. Moving to another group, their solar-powered car, though simple, is actually finished, but it's not working, so they have to figure out why it's not working. This was actually early in the project. As the project went on, this was a 6-week-long project, the rovers got significantly more sophisticated and incorporated a lot more gadgets. And they actually had multiple gears and wheels, and they actually learned a great deal from this. other things that were reviewed as far as technology in the middle school classroom is students this age in the middle school are naturally drawn to 21st century technologies more than any other age group. 11 to 14-year-olds spend 230% more time on non-school computer use than do 8 to 10-year-olds. This is because technology meets many young adolescent needs. They have a high degree of technological proficiency, and this can enhance the educational environment. This group is called the Net Generation. Middle school students are a part of this. They learn best through trial and error. They process information fairly quickly. They connect graphics before text, and they require relevance in their learning. So knowing this, that this is how students learn, it makes sense to incorporate technology and problem solving and cooperative group learning into the middle school classroom. The pictures in the slide here show typical adolescents, all of them playing on their iPhones, sitting back to back, texting each other even though we're in the same room, laying in their beds, watching movies and that. So the flipped classroom incorporates using videos and podcasts as homework for the students to look at outside of the classroom, and then coming into the classroom to do the actual activity. Part of my research included how to make podcasts, teachers' examples of what worked for them and what did not work for them. I used a combination of teacher-made and pre-made videos. Teacher-made videos, I used Camtasia, Screencast-O-Matic. Pre-made were things like TED Ed, Khan Academy. I also used YouTube videos from various sources and assigned the links as homework. The methodology of the flipped classroom centers around collaborative teaching in the middle school, design-based learning, student-centered and teacher-facilitated classroom, digital learning. There's a quote here from the National Research Council saying, effective instruction as detailed in the National Research Council includes inquiry into authentic questions generated from student experiences and has been used as a guide for science instruction in the United States. Students learn best when they have a real-life connection, when they can talk to each other and work out problems themselves, when they can use technology. The average middle school student, when you say, ask them a question about anything, is they whip out their phone and Google it. And using that type of learning, digital-based learning, enhances a student's engagement, focus, and desire to learn. The project description was, the goal of this project was to ascertain if flipping the classroom is an effective teaching method. The flipped classroom method consists of podcasts set as homework, freeing up class time for inquiry-based activities. 3 sections of 7th grade classes were assessed during a unit on astronomy. The unit itself focused on a project designing, creating, and building a Mars rover, solar-powered rover model in cooperative groups. Astronomy also included other areas beyond the Mars rover, but the Mars rover was the finishing part of the astronomy unit. This unit covered about 6 weeks. Project findings were that the students made many real-life connections. At the time of this project, NASA launched the latest Mars rover, and the girls were able to see it live in the classroom. They developed many project problem-solving skills. Improvements in retention and assessment scores from the previous years were observed. Classes became more teacher-facilitated as students had more time to move between a variety of labs and activities related to the concepts. Classroom management was improved. Classroom allowed for more differentiated learning, and students were able to learn at a pace that was more individualized. Included here is the timeline of the project. It lasted about 6 weeks, and The students received the timeline based on what they were supposed to accomplish at different times. They had a scoring rubric that is also shown here as to what was expected for each stage of the project. At the end of the project, a unit assessment on astronomy knowledge was given. It was the same assessment that was used the previous year. Here is a chart showing the overall scores on the same unit assessment from 2 years. This past year shows a 7.5 increase overall in the unit assessment scores, showing that there was a better retention of knowledge and an understanding of concept areas. Connections to literature. Most of the literature was based on podcasting, and it was based on the research of how students learn. The initial flipped classroom method was brought to the attention of educators through Flip Your Classroom by Bergman and Sam. They were pioneers in this idea. Models of the flipped classroom are individualized in literature, meaning that Bergman and Sams use their own model, but every teacher in all of the research that I did, all the literature I read, every teacher does his or her own method as it works best for the class. So there is not one model for flipped classroom. There are as many models as there are teachers using this. The basic premise is the video for homework and the activities during the class. Podcasting and other forms of technology have made accessing content easier for conveying ideas. Recommendations. Observations in unit assessment indicate that the use of the flipped classroom increases retention and enhances learning. Students are more engaged and enthusiastic. Limitations have had to do with internet availability, whether it was in school or at home. If they could not access the internet, that made it a little more difficult. I did burn CDs for those students that didn't have internet availability at home. Most students in the classroom have their own laptops, and they are able to use those laptops to access the videos, but if they did not, we had to come up with more unique ways to do that. My main concerns were that the students actually looked at the videos, and finding ways to ensure that this happened was a challenge. Connections to the professional seminar. Technology using a STEM-based project, podcasting, video-based projects, very strong technological support, social justice and equity. This project took place in an all-girls school. STEM-based projects incorporates both science and engineering, problem-solving skills incorporated in a cooperative learning environment. The community building was incorporated as students competed in a competition with the final solar-powered bottles at the University of Houston on January 25th, 2014, with schools from all over the Houston area. Reflections. The flipped classroom method works. It does improve retention and student engagement. I have used it in subsequent units and modified it depending on the unit. Middle school students worked well in the cooperative groups. They learned well from each other. As the year has progressed, the podcasts were more and more referenced to help students study and remember information. And thank you.